Hey guys, Tony here from the Y in Entrepreneurship. I'm so excited today. I'm inviting Nick on my program tonight from Make a Ride Surfboards. What an amazing entrepreneur, young guy, so motivated to, just be amazingly successful in business. So I can't wait to have him join right now, and I'm going to add him in. Hopefully he's catching on here real soon.
Uh, doing.
Hey, what's up, bud?
How you doing, man? Good to
I'm
see.
doing great. Oh, so cool to catch up with you.
I know. Here, I'm gonna turn so that we're sideways.
I
There
like
we
that.
go.
That way
Let
you're
me
not upside down.
sorting this whole thing out.
Yeah, so what's going on?
Oh, a lot, man. We're cruising, keeping busy.
I love it, man. So it's so fun for me to talk to you, it's so many years now, and just kind of talking about your brand and where it's developing from and how we're moving along.
It's
So
crazy. Yeah, I still give you credit for the name change.
I'm honored for that, but it's you that make the difference. So, I started this program really, I've been mentoring businesses for so long, and I kind of want to share with other people that may have been in your shoes maybe 2, 3 years ago, that maybe need some help so
For
I'd love
sure.
to be able to tell people what your why in entrepreneurship was, even from the beginning when you were young and humble. And so I'd love
Right.
a little more about that.
Yeah, I like to think I'm still kind of humble, although it's impossible to say that and sound honest. But yeah, I think for me it's always just been people. I was actually in college before I discovered surfboards and building surfboards. I was in college as a psychology major with a focus in counseling, and
Wow.
that was the plan, right? Was to like
Sure.
have a little counseling practice or whatever that turned into, and just kind of help people. And so then I found the surfboard thing, and it was a little bit of a fork in the road. I thought I had to kind of choose, you know?
Right.
But that's what I've kind of discovered and what led me to like the concept of MAR, which is like the DIY surfboard thing, is the fact that we get to spend time with people. And so it's not just the transaction where like I sell a surfboard. It's an experience where like I'm in the shaping bay with 8 hours with a single person.
So
Um, which we can have a different conversation about the efficiency of business models. Um,
I
that's
love
a
it.
different challenge,
Great
but
psychology, helping people, and it's kind of funny. You ended up doing the same exact thing. Whether it's spiritual for them or they're out on that board that they make with you, and they're in a different world out on the water by themselves. I would think so. It's like
yeah,
what you
totally.
trying to do transitioned into an amazing business so far for you.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And that's I tell the guys that are working with me now, like I always try to remind them like, hey, we're not making surfboards or fixing surfboards. We're like setting somebody up to have their best day.
That's all.
Um, yeah, so like when you're fixing that ding and it's fighting you and like it's not fun, remember that like you're doing it so that somebody else can have the best day of their life.
That's cool.
And yeah,
Entrepreneurs, I tell them like I'm not in the food business, I'm not in the construction business, I'm in the experience business. So, and it's really, we're all in the customer service business, really trying to provide the best customer service because we're dealing with people. So, but if you're creating experiences, then we're doing something.
yeah, no doubt. And that's we say the same thing about the DIY experiences when people are building boards with us is like people come into it thinking about the board a lot and asking a lot of questions about like, oh, is the board going to be good? And the answer thankfully is yes to that. But I tell them also that the board is really kind of a byproduct of the experience, which is really kind of what you will take with you and remember. And the board's just a nice souvenir.
Yeah, I love it. So I'd love to like get into the beginning stages, like when you were, I mean, when you were young and so naive and like just get married and I'm at your wedding and it was incredible. And could you just share with everybody what it was like in the very beginning when you really had no idea what you were going to do, but you had these dreams?
Yeah, the beginning honestly was basically just me in a shed by myself. And like no clue. I went from like breaking my first surfboard and not knowing that fixing surfboards was even possible to like a year later I decided that like I wanted to fix surfboards for a living. Um, and so, yeah, I was like, naive is absolutely the right word. I had no clue what I was doing, but I just knew that I cared about it, and cared about like providing a level of service for the people who needed that service that I wasn't sure they had access to.
But
Um,
at what point did you realize it was going to possibly be a business for you? Like, it's kind of cool just to fix your own surfboard and everything. All
right.
of a sudden, now you're an entrepreneur and you're doing something you love, but when did it really click you were going to actually turn it into a business?
I think the first time that I saw the potential of like what it could become was really the first time that somebody came in and made a board with me, and like the way that they talked about that board and that experience after that was like, okay, I've never heard anybody talk about a surfboard like that. And talk about like me as the business. I've never heard anybody else really talk about a business like that. And so maybe we've got something kind of special here that stands out a bit.
Right.
And that for me was like the first time that I kind of saw the inklings that it could become something greater. But I think I probably underestimated
Yeah.
all the obstacles between here and there.
We'll
So
get into that in a second, but the interesting thing for me is like, when you had to make that decision where you were helping people fix their boards and do this, hey, I can actually make some money with this and actually create a business for my future.
right. Yeah, that was interesting. And it's still, I think, especially in the surf industry, people always say like you don't get into the surf industry for the money because there's not much of it compared to other industries. And it's just a notoriously difficult thing to kind of maintain margins and that sort of thing in this industry. And so I kind of knew that going into it, and like got a lot of advice to not go into it. But I knew that we were offering something completely different, and we had something that set us apart. Just not just what we offered, like the DIY thing, I think is the huge differentiator, but just the level of service. People are surprised when I answer the phone on the
Right.
first ring, just because in a surfer's world, like that doesn't happen a lot. And like if I
Sure.
miss a call and call somebody back, you'd think that I just turned water into wine or something.
Same thing happens if
Um,
I'm talking to a customer like, is this Tony on the phone? Yeah, I'm working.
right, exactly. But yeah, so just I saw, I think I wasn't sure at first whether the DIY model would be effective. I knew
Right.
that that was important to me, and also important to me largely because when I was trying to get into board building and find people to help me do it, I got a lot of no's.
Right.
Just people that like weren't willing to help or able to help or didn't have the time. And I totally understand that, but I knew that there were more people like me who
Sure.
needed a yes. And whether that's because they wanted to do it for a living or just kind of check it off their bucket list once, somebody needed to be there to say yes. So I
That's
was happy to answer the phone and be that guy.
Fill the need, right?
Absolutely. And now it's really cool. One of the guys that is working with me now. He's sanding all of our finished new boards. He came to a group class, the first group class that we ever hosted a little over 2 years ago. And now he is like working with us. So
You tell me you have the ability to inspire people.
I guess so.
That's
He's made his name's Colin. I don't know if he's watching this or not right now. But
awesome.
Sunflower Surfboards, if you're watching it, go check him out. He's 18. He's made like 34 boards in like the
Wow,
last 2 years. He's 18 years old.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And he like similar to me, he probably wasn't quite as ignorant as I was when I got started, but when he came to that group class, like that was the first time that he had ever seen a surfboard be made in person.
Wow, that's
And
really
now, yeah, 2 years later, he's like working in the industry, building his own label as an 18-year-old, and has built like 30 something boards. It's incredible.
so that for me as an entrepreneur, that's probably been the most powerful thing in my life is helping others. So even doing something like we're doing right now has truly been the most rewarding thing for me. And I read something today pretty interesting about entrepreneurs, and this lady does a lot of psychological work for entrepreneurs, and it's how much entrepreneurs love being with each other because we're all crazy, I think. But I think that's what it is. But I want to
I've been
dig
told that, yeah.
in. Yeah, there's no doubt. I want to dig into your name a little bit. So we went through a lot of discussion about your name. I'm getting a little bit of a reputation for changing people's names around a little bit. The lady I
Yeah.
was massage therapy company, like we had a lot of discussion about this. So can you enlighten the crowd and everybody we're talking with about this?
Oh boy, I didn't think we'd ever have to talk about this again, man. Um,
But this
yeah,
is
so
company great because so many, you know what's funny, Nick, is so many people don't pay enough attention to the name because the name is truly has to identify what you're doing. And you know, we come up with these great, like even coming up with the word why not. I thought I was crazy as anything, but I had to put the word pizza with it for people to know who I was.
yeah, and that was one of the hugest things that you said to me that was like that night when I went home, I was like, okay, I have to change the name now. Was you
Hard for me.
said you said that you played around with like why not Italian versus why not pizza and like that made a difference in what you were selling.
Right.
And I was like, oh crap. Like everybody knows what why not is. But like if that
Right.
makes a difference for him, what kind of difference is it going to make when I'm going around telling people that we're dirtbag surfboards?
Right. Hey,
Because that's what we started as, and it was I knew even at the time I was 20 when I chose that name, so I give myself a little bit of grace. But
right.
like even then, I knew that that would be short lived. But like you said, the biggest factor that ultimately, like, forget the fact that it's like mildly offensive and like we're definitely limiting our demographic to
Right.
a certain crew of people. Um,
Hardcore.
I hear Kara laughing in the other room at that. But yeah, forget all of that. But like the most important thing was that like the thing that sets us apart the most from the rest of the people in our industry is what we do. And if you only heard our name, you would have no idea that
Right.
that was even a thing.
It's a cool surfing name, brand for clothing or something like that.
Right, right.
Did you ever keep the dirtbag name on any of your apparel or anything?
So what I do now, so you remember the logo that was on the, so it was like the little guy with holding a longboard and he had a hat on and he had like kind of a stick, like a knapsack
Right.
type thing
Right.
over his shoulder, just kind of like the hobo
I think
surgeoner.
yes, camping or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so now that guy on the boards that I make, like customs for people or the boards that are finished and for sale in the showroom, where I sign on the and write the dimensions of the board and sign my name, there's that guy is like hidden
Oh,
in
really?
that lamb. Yeah.
I love it. True to the heart.
Yeah, yeah. And that's we play around with the idea of like maybe someday if like I'm doing enough custom orders that
Right.
like it makes sense to split that off from our on its own a little bit. Like maybe we would bring back the dirtbag thing, but I still just don't think it's a great name.
But you know what I think? I think it's kind of cool to have it like hidden a little bit, or
Totally.
like say you did cool T-shirts and on the back end of the bottom of the shirt it said dirtbag.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
fun.
We still get people occasionally who when they're making a board with us, they're like, "Hey, can I put the dirtbag logo on there?"
I
And
love it.
that's so I keep some of those lambs around for the people who know.
But you know what's cool? They're your loyalists from the beginning. You know what I mean? So anybody that knows that, you know they truly have been following you forever. So that's really fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's super cool. The relationships that we've built are like crazy. It's like from the beginning of this.
So talk to me about some of your goals. What are your long-term goals?
Yeah, I so the big vision for Mar for me has always been to kind of be a place to support and help build the surf community for Virginia Beach. Because I think there's a lot of places that are like surfing towns in the world
Sure.
where there's like a natural culture that kind of and community that grows out of it. Like a place like California, you check the waves every day.
Right.
And so there's like a parking lot culture where like every day you know you can go to the parking lot and see the same 10, 20 guys and you get to
Right.
know each other and a little community grows. In Virginia Beach, just because the waves aren't good every day or even worth checking every day,
Right.
there's not like a great hub for culture.
Okay.
And so I want to be a little cautious to not like affect the culture too much, but I want to make sure that we position ourselves as a support structure for that culture that already does exist.
Great.
And so long term, like I would love to just see Mar become a place where people know that they can go and hang out and see a couple other guys that are just going to be hanging out and talk surfing, and just kind of be together. Because I think that's something that the community here could use more of, is just a place to gather around the thing that we all love.
Sure.
And so that I think in order to pull that off, we'll have to kind of diversify what we offer a little bit.
Right.
And I've got some ideas that I'm sure I'll probably need to talk to you about at some
Sure.
point. They're probably not ready to like release in public yet. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just continue to give people access to the board building process. And most importantly, just kind of support the community and provide a place for that surf culture to kind of live and grow.
Sure. Have you worked on e-commerce, like selling anything online, or like
Yeah,
videos, or?
surfboards are tricky online just because the shipping is like so astronomical that it's really difficult to do at scale. We do a decent amount of like merchandise and stuff like that, like t-shirts, hats, those sorts of things we send out pretty frequently. We made a shirt that had like the curve of like the coronavirus thing
Really?
when all this started, and we
Wow.
put a little surfer. We like teamed up with a local artist and put a little surfer so that he was like kind of surfing the big spiky curve that we're
Oh,
trying to avoid. And it said like surviving the curve.
oh,
So
that's
instead
cool.
of surviving, it was surfiving.
I love it.
And we shipped those all over the country.
Wow.
One of the main surf forecasting website picked it up and like shared a photo of it. And yeah, we were shipping them to Hawaii and California and all over the place. So
You ever do any YouTube videos where you're teaching people how to repair the surfboards, or have you gotten?
this is something that I wrestle with myself, because I think it's a great way to build an audience and like gain, just kind of offer more to more people. But at the same time, our customers are coming in and giving us their hard-earned money to teach them those skills. And
Right.
so like putting out that information in a free YouTube video feels just like unfair to the people that are keeping our lights on.
Okay.
And so I go back and forth. I do think we probably, I mean, there's the easy answer to that is to like figure out a way to monetize it, right? Like, so coming into the shop is going to be a totally different experience that should come at a different cost than just watching a video online. But I think that there is a way to make a series of videos that kind of helps take you through the process,
Right.
and find a price for that that makes sense.
You think
Um,
doing like online? So what you're doing in your studio is you're obviously creating an experience. You're creating an experience, whether it's with a father and son, a father
exactly.
and daughter, whatever you're doing. So really, what you're doing in the studio, I think, is so emotional. What you're doing, and
It's super personal for
right.
sure. Like it's funny. I think the best example is like when the surf is good, my phone like blows up because we're friends with everybody by the end of it. Nobody leaves a customer. Everybody leaves like a friend, and that's the way I think it ought to be.
So do you do
Um,
like video blog where people are taking like videos of them surfing with your boards and?
I need to get better at that. I've tried to get that stuff from people. It's just hard. When the surf is good, people just want to surf, man. It's hard. Surfers are tough.
Do you have a branded surfing wax that you have?
Not branded. We've been in talks with a couple local folks that are making some surf wax, and
Sure.
we've talked about that. Like it's like a super organic kind of beeswax. And so we're working on that. It's a
So see, that's
tricky product to nail.
I'd make my own dirtbag wax. Would be kind of cool name,
Oh, that's pretty good.
But
That
then
could be the spot.
if they send a picture, if they send video, you'll send them out a free like 3 bars of wax or something like that.
Right, right.
Send you a
That
video
would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
branding with you, just getting that brand like viral.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've had to kind of shift my mind about over the past 6 months. Really, I've like started to kind of change my mind on it a little bit. I used to really only focus on like getting the word out about what we're doing to people in our geographic area, because that's kind of who we serve based on the nature of what we do. But yeah, I'm starting to kind of realize that like it's okay to do things that have a broader reach.
Right. I think
Um,
people coming from California to build boards with you.
yeah, I actually just 2 weeks ago just had a guy fly up from Texas.
How, how
Yeah,
cool is that?
that's the second guy from Texas, believe it or not.
I,
Um,
you get online, you start putting that video out there, and you really start showing people what you do, and you
right.
actually have to take that video, shoot the video at the beach, and then bring it right back into your studio. You have the opportunity to blow up.
Yeah, we're it's happening little by little. I'm like starting to get the taste of it.
You know
Um,
me, I don't have a lot of patience like that. I'm ready to roll.
I know you're go big or go home kind of guy. I could use a little more of that probably. I'm a little like risk averse, but
Right. You know what? I talk a lot about risk, but you know what? You say you're risk averse, but so many people are afraid to do what you've already done. You can't
right.
believe the amount of stamina. And I mean, I think about you in your VW Bug, and I'm like, my God, look at this guy. And you're fearless. And to do what you've done and to really create that experience with people, it's just been truly amazing to watch you. You're truly an inspiration to me to see that young entrepreneur and really making a difference.
Well,
And
thank you, man. That
I'm about experience and like, create. I love business but I truly love helping people. And I think I was driven to the restaurant industry because I'm there with young people and really trying to make them better every day. And you're doing the same exact thing, and you should be proud. And to say you're risk averse, there's people 10 times more risk averse than you. I'm a billion more.
I've
And
I've got a good support structure.
yeah, obviously both of us have amazing women behind us, but I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I mean, me and Kara talk all the time about like, oh, what would it be like to just like be in Tony and Cindy's shoes, like a couple decades down the line, and just look back at like where we've come from and
Don't
where we're headed. And
ask my wife that.
oh yeah, oh, be
No,
quiet.
you might get a different answer.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
You know me, I'm always doing a million things, but so marketing wise, what do you do in marketing?
Yeah, so we are, I think, I don't know if I even want to say this, but I think we're the only people in the local surf industry that use Google Ads at all.
Wow.
Um, yeah, like last I checked, I actually just did a test this week. If you Google like surfboard repair, we're the first thing that comes up. Every search term I could think of, except for one for surfboard repairs, we're number one. Um,
Said that.
I know, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Now you're teaching everyone.
We'll see
But
what happens. They
uh,
should be better. We can't do everything. They should be better.
exactly.
Um, but no, so we do that. I was really careful about like building a website that is professional but still personal,
Right.
to kind of communicate who we are a little bit because I think that is a good description of kind of how we do business is we're personal but we're also professional.
Love it.
And so that has been hugely important. But yeah, I think Google Ads is huge for us, in helping to kind of drive business. We do a little bit of social media ads, but mostly it's just the free social media. Teaming up with other people has been great for us, like other local businesses to kind of help get the word out about what we're doing. WRV is actually a great partner of ours. They
That's
like
awesome.
the biggest surf shop in town who I was like kind of scared would find out about us for the
Right.
first few years I was doing this is now like a huge support structure.
I remember you saying that you were so excited. I remember the first day you told me that.
Yeah, yeah, it's huge. So we're doing all the repairs for them now. So even if somebody doesn't find us on Google and they go to WRV, it still comes to us and we actually execute the work. So that's excellent. And they actually have a display for us in there too. It's like a board that I made with like a video screen inlaid that kind of shows the DIY experience.
That's really
Um, yeah, yeah. So that's been excellent too. Just kind of help get the word out and let people know. And then I think honestly the biggest thing for us is people telling their own story with us, like on their own social media and just in their own relationships.
you
Um,
on your website now.
yeah, we've got some testimonials on there, and we're actually getting ready to revamp the website entirely and get some more updated photos, that have like people with the boards they've finished and just kind of a carousel of all the boards that we've done with the people. And I
You
was thinking about this on my drive home tonight before, because I knew we were going to talk. And I think we've probably done more boards in the last like 2 years since we changed the name than we did in the last like 4 or 5
wow.
under the old name.
I'm telling you though, right now, video is key for you. Video's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, we during all the quarantine stuff and everything, we were doing live videos like this of me just working. Like whenever I was about to start something, I just kind of set my phone up and press record or whatever and just go to town. And
So
it's
cool.
fun. Yeah, I think that's like people want to know.
If
Like,
you, I got a little idea for you. My brain's always thinking, but if you wanted to sell like a video package of with like, say you had a father and a daughter or son come out, and you could say, hey, let me know when you're going to serve. I got a video photographer. I'll have her shoot
yeah,
video for you, even if it's a cost, whatever it costs.
right,
But really
right.
help you promote that. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple guys recently who surf like really, really good, that just made boards with us. Like they surf so good. It's kind of gross how good they surf. And they just made these boards with us and they love them.
Oh, really?
And so he like sent me a clip the other day that was from like one of the forecast cameras that's like posted up on the boardwalk. And he could like he's just this tiny little grainy dot, so I was like, hey man, like we need to link up. I've got a better camera. I'll get,
There you go.
yeah. Because that's like I think that is the piece that's missing from like a lot of our kind of social media and branding and that sort of stuff
Right.
is like we're doing a pretty good job, I think, at telling the first half of the story,
Right.
which is somebody like designing their own board and building their own board. But yeah, that second half of the story, that is the much longer part of the story,
Right.
is those people enjoying that board for years, you know?
Really cool.
So,
I mean, like we're thinking the same. So New Year's resolution with video, 100%.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I mean, all the way. So I told my video photographer I want to shoot 300 videos this year, and it's just been
300?
300.
Oh,
And
man.
we're getting there. We're shooting probably, I don't know, 20 a week right now. We're shooting a lot of videos,
No kidding.
everything from like training videos to everything we do out on Instagram. You know, we've been in the community a lot lately, so we've been
Totally,
pumping
totally.
a lot with that. But it's been awesome. So, what other questions do you have for me? Anything that on top of mind that you would want to ask?
Oh, man. Let's see. I think a great well, and so this is something that also made a big difference for me when you and I first talked about it. And I think I want to hear it again because we're coming up on needing to hear it again potentially.
Right.
But also, I think it would just be good for people listening to kind of hear.
Sure.
So, when and how do you decide to grow?
It has to be calculated. You know, I talked to you in the beginning, and I said before you start expanding and marketing, you have to make sure your infrastructure is big enough to do that.
Yep.
So I really think that, you know, it's about scaling. Obviously, there's economics that you have to look at, and what are your economics, and are you profitable? So everything you do, so down to the point of what does it cost you for a session to make a board, and is it
Right.
profitable? You
Yep.
know, the thing is to sustain your business, you have to be profitable. Like
Yep.
it's amazing in business. People are like, oh, when I profit in my business, people are like, oh, you just get rich. I said, no, I want to pay for the air breaks.
Right.
So
Exactly.
how are you doing these different things? But I think scaling is important for you because it keeps you motivated. Like every day when I'm in business, I want to be better tomorrow than I was today. And
Yep.
that's how I live my life. So scaling is it's really an inner you want to do and how big you want to grow. Because some people, you know, they can have you could have your business sustain your business like it is ever,
Right.
you know, and be very happy.
Yep.
And it's really an inner desire that makes you want to scale. Like people are like, hey, have enough stores and don't get enough. I said, I'm driven on success. You know what I mean? I'm driven on being better tomorrow. So
Right.
every
Right.
day, how I can push myself to that next limit.
Totally. Totally.
But
I heard somebody say once that like if you look at like a tree or a plant, like a healthy plant is growing. Like just because the leaves are green doesn't mean it's healthy, you know? It's got to be like getting a little bigger every day.
I truly believe if you're not pushing yourself every day, it's so stagnant and you're going to fall backwards.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
to board, whether it's philanthropy, like all the philanthropy work we've been doing has been one of the most rewarding things I've done in years. I can't tell you. It's been so great for me. So that's part of growing though. So
Right.
I think for
Yeah, I
you,
think there's a depth in growth, like in addition to like an expanse. Like I think it can grow out and like grow kind of vertically too, if that makes sense.
without a doubt. And the one thing for me, it's growing smart too. So I
Mhm.
had many big, two very big losses in my life. I mean, that have made me amazingly better.
Right.
I could be an entrepreneur without. I think failing's essential. It's like I tell kids that when they come to my restaurant, they say, "God, I lost the baseball game today." I said, "It's going to make winning really great."
Right.
So
Right.
the losses in my life have made me who I am. But I think for you, at where you are in business, I think it's really being calculated expansion. And that's where you need to have people around you that have done it before and that have failed before. So
Yeah.
I try and mentor myself with older people that I have that have been in business for 50 years. And I
Right.
want everything from them. I'm like a sponge. I try and suck everything I can. And so I don't make those same mistakes. But I love expanding you. I think you have so many opportunities. I think that what you've done, you built such an amazing base, an amazing brand, and people they believe in you. So that's 90% of the battle.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I've felt that a lot. It's been really interesting, like through all of the pandemic stuff. Like, I mean, on the front end of this thing, I was doing some mental calculations and was like, okay, if I'm a consumer and like money's about to get tight, what's the first thing I'm going to cut from my budget? Probably building my own surfboard. Um, but I've been blown away. I think, like you said, like just the foundation that we've built over
Right.
the past several years, like that has come through in such a strong way. Because there's been like, I don't even know how many people that have said, like, hey, I've been wanting to build a board with you guys for 2 years and I just haven't been able to
I,
get the time off of work. And now I've got time and like, when can you take me? Um, so yeah, it's been really cool to just kind of see because I mean, when you and I sat down and talked initially about business stuff, like I was pretty open about the fact that it didn't always feel like this business was giving back quite
right.
as much as I was giving to it.
Sure.
And it's been really cool this season to kind of see that come back and like those relationships that we've formed and like the groundwork that we have laid. And even like you said, like the infrastructure thing, like we got drilled with dinger pairs a few weeks ago.
Right.
And like thankfully I'd been training a guy since September of last year to really get him up to speed in preparation for the season coming back around. And like when we had in the same day that he was picking up, I think like 8 or 9 boards from WRV. We had another 5 or 6 dropped off at the shop,
Ah,
and he like his eyes were like this big, man.
I'm sure.
Just like how the heck are we gonna do this? But like we stuck to the process, we did the paperwork, and he crushed it.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so it's a cool season right now. We're just seeing a lot of, like you said, like the groundwork that we laid and kind of the foundations that we've built, and most importantly, I think the relationships, just kind of seeing those things come back around has been so cool.
It's amazing though. In business, you're going to go through many periods of business where you feel like your feet are off the ground and like, gosh, I'm working so hard, and we're struggling with income right now. But it's going back to those core values, remembering the beginning days. I constantly think about like, I almost lost my business the first month of business, and then 6 months later, lost it again. And I constantly remind myself of those days and say, heck, this is nothing compared to that. I
Right, right.
but it's still remembering those core values of being an entrepreneur and not and always having faith in what you do.
Yeah, yeah. And that's for me, that always comes back to just like the people that we serve, you know.
Right.
Like there's now that we've gained market share kind of in this industry, like if we went away, there are people whose lives would be negatively affected.
Wow.
And that's
Powerful.
cool. Like that's
That's
incredible
powerful.
to think about. I remember I think when Kara and I were on our honeymoon, so that would have been like 3.5 years ago, we
Wow.
were talking about the fact, I know, time
Things
flies,
like
right?
that.
We're old pros now.
I know.
Um, so we were talking about like, dang, like when I'm not in the shop, that business basically doesn't exist. And like, does anybody even care that it doesn't exist for 2 weeks while we're on our honeymoon? And now it's like, oh shoot, like if we want to do something on a Saturday, like I need to make a backup plan with
Right.
like the other guys that are helping out because like people need stuff, and people are picking stuff up every day, and it's just cool. It's a lot of fun.
Needed, you know. When I took a day off for my wedding, I had customers hollering that we closed the store for a day.
All
So
right.
I feel it, but you know, and still to this day, you know, I with my business, you know, I love my business. I love what I do, and like a lot of times, my wife's like, "You're going to work." I'm like, I feel the need to be there, and I love seeing my customers every day. They're part of my life. I mean, I
Right.
can't tell you how many funerals I go to and baptisms and
Hmm.
just seeing these people, it just energizes me every day, you know, and I love seeing a smiling kid or playing with the dough with the children on the table, and that's really what it is. And you're going to have amazing stories to tell people.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a huge blessing. It's super cool to like you said, like to just. I mean, most people, I think they're like the circle of people that they get to interact with on a regular basis is, like their family, their friends, the people that they work with. But I think when you're in kind of like a customer service industry,
Sure.
or at least like whatever industry you're in, if you choose to see yourself as though you're in the customer service industry, like that circle is just so big.
No
So,
doubt. I mean, we're all in that business, you know, we're all in that
yeah,
customer service business. I mean, there's very few businesses that don't involve humans, you
right.
know, and that we're all in that business. And the second we realize it, the value of a customer, I was fortunate. I opened my first business at 8 years old, so I learned customer service at a very young age. But you know, for you, I mean, just to have that desire to do something you love, and I think it's so critical for us to love what we do as entrepreneurs, because without a miserable life, you know,
Right, right. It's a lot of work, man.
there's no. I mean, but if you love what you do, and I tell people I haven't worked a day in my life because when you love what you do, it's not work,
Right, right. It's like on a Sunday, I typically don't work Sundays,
right?
but it's like I'm thinking about it still, and not like
Sure,
I'm happy to be home. Like I love to be with my wife. Like there's
sure.
nothing beats that. But
You're
it is like
whatever.
it's fun to be at the shop too. Like it almost doesn't matter what day it is in the shop. We're just there doing our thing. So
You know, for me, you know, family is so important to me, and you know, I have an amazing family. My three daughters are awesome, and you know, at first I was working 100 hours a week. My daughters were like, "Dad, why are you always working?" And they started working at the restaurant, and they came in,
right,
God, Dad, I did. And you know, they have that same drive and passion I have. You know, so,
yeah,
and family. If we don't have family, I don't know what we have. You know, so
right, absolutely,
you know, and I have a lot of extended family now too. You know, so and that's the cool part about it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really looking forward to maybe catching up again and doing this. And I'd love to
Definitely.
talk next time a little bit about your why and figuring out really the three pillars of your company and then really work on that expanding piece. I've got my brain's always crazy working. I'm sitting here with a million ideas to like drive
Right.
this, and I don't know. I have this weird thought process, and so but I've had so much fun just catching up with you and doing it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's always good to chat. Always learn a lot.
You know it.
I'll be going to bed late tonight, stewing
Yeah,
on all the questions you brought up here.
I love it. Well, let's catch up again and do it again soon.
Looking forward to it, man. I really appreciate you.
All right, pal. We'll
We'll
talk
talk
soon.
to you soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.